soft daylight, birds chirping, a peaceful suburban street, trimmed lawns, white fences, a little girl on her pink bicycle riding happily down the sidewalk. Narrator, calm but tense tone. She was only 8. Riding her bike on a quiet Sunday morning, sunshine, laughter, and freedom. But that same street, the one she thought was safe, was about to change her life forever. Cut to slow motion shot. An HOA officer in uniform steps out from his white truck, holding a clipboard, eyes narrowing at the girl. Narrator. What happened next? Shocked the entire neighborhood. Calm pause, friendly tone. Before we continue, tell me, where are you watching this story from? I'd love to know which country you're from. Drop it in the comments below. Now, let's get back to what really happened that day. The morning light spilled across Maplewood Drive like a soft, golden blanket. The lawns were perfectly trimmed, each mailbox aligned as if soldiers stood at attention. It was the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. At least that's what everyone believed. 8-year-old Lila Carter didn't care much about rules, fences, or the homeowners association. To her, Maplewood wasn't a community. It was a playground. Her pink bicycle with a glittering tassel handle was her favorite thing in the world. She called it Sparkle. Her mother, Megan Carter, was kneeling by a flower bed, tending to her roses, when Lila called out, "Mom, I'm gonna go right around the block." Megan looked up with a soft smile. "Stay on the sidewalk, baby. And don't go too far." "Got it!" Lila chimed, pushing off the pavement and pedaling fast, her laughter echoing through the neat houses. The sun was warm. The air smelled of freshly cut grass, and sprinklers clicked rhythmically along the yards. Lila hummed as she rode, waving to an old lady watering plants. Everything was peaceful, until she reached the corner house. That's where Mr. Douglas Crane lived. He wasn't just a resident. He was the head of the HOA, and everyone in the neighborhood knew his name, and feared it a little. Douglas Crane was a man obsessed with control. His lawn looked like a golf course, his fences shined brighter than his car, and his clipboard was practically an extension of his arm. He noticed everything. A trash can left an inch out of place? Warning notice. A kid chalking the sidewalk? Violation report. And this morning, when Lila rode her bike past his house, he noticed her too. The front wheel of her bike brushed the edge of his grass. Barely an inch, but for Douglas Crane, that inch was war. He narrowed his eyes, jaw tightening. He stepped out of his porch in his pressed HOA polo shirt, clipboard in hand, and a voice as sharp as gravel. "Hey, you! Little girl!" Lila slowed down, confused. "Yes, sir?" "You can't ride here." "You're trespassing on private HOA property." She blinked, not understanding. "I was just on the sidewalk." "That's my sidewalk," he barked. Your tire touched the grass. "That's vandalism." Lila's small lips trembled. "I'm sorry, sir." "I didn't mean, sorry doesn't fix the damage." Crane snapped, striding toward her. His heavy boots thudded on the pavement. Across the street, a neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, peeked through her blinds. She saw the scene unfolding but didn't step outside. Nobody liked crossing Douglas Crane. Lila looked around helplessly. "I'll go back home, sir." But when she tried to turn her bike, the front wheel caught a bump in the curb, and she fell. The bike clattered down. Lila's knees scraped against the pavement, a faint cry escaping her lips. Crane didn't help her up. Instead, he snapped, "See? That's what happens when you don't follow rules." Tears welled in Lila's eyes. She picked up her bike with trembling hands. Her right arm stung. A deep red scrape ran across her elbow. From her front yard, Megan noticed her daughter standing still. She frowned, dropped her gardening gloves, and hurried over. "Lila." "What happened?" Lila sniffled. He yelled at me, "Mom!" Said I broke his rules. Megan's eyes darted to Crane. "Excuse me, sir. She's a child. There's no need to speak to her like that." Crane adjusted his sunglasses, his tone cold. "Ma'am, your child was damaging HOA property. You people need to respect community guidelines." Megan's jaw tightened. "Community guidelines?" "She's 8. "She barely touched your grass," Crane smirked, tapping his clipboard. "That's what they all say. But rules are rules." By now, a few neighbors had come out, quiet, watching. Nobody spoke. Nobody helped. Lila stood between her mom and the HOA officer, her arm bleeding, tears smearing her cheeks. Megan took a deep breath. "I think you owe my daughter an apology," Crane chuckled under his breath. "For enforcing the law? I don't think so." And then something inside Megan snapped. She took a step closer. "Listen to me, Mr. Crane. If you ever raise your voice at my child again, ma'am—" "I'll report you for harassment," Crane cut in, pulling out his phone as if to take a picture. Megan pulled Lila close, shielding her. "You do that, and I'll call the police." Crane's lips curled into a thin smile. "Oh, please do." "Let's see how that goes." Scene transition. Soft music fades. The sun is higher now. A police car's lights flash faintly at the end of the street. An hour later, 2 officers stood in front of Crane's house. Megan explained what had happened, voice shaking, while Lila clung to her leg silently. Officer Ramirez scribbled notes. "So he confronted your daughter over riding her bike?" "Yes," Megan said. "And when she fell, he didn't even help her. He threatened to report us." Crane crossed his arms, expression stiff. "She was damaging property." "I have every right to address violations," Ramirez frowned. "She's a child, sir." "Children don't get immunity from the rules," Crane replied coldly. "That's how communities fall apart." The officer exchanged a glance with his partner. "All right, sir, just keep your distance." "This isn't something you need to escalate," Crane muttered under his breath. "This neighborhood used to have standards," and stormed back into his house. Megan sighed in disbelief. "Unreal." Ramirez crouched down to Lila's level. "You okay, sweetheart?" Lila nodded weakly. "My arm hurts a little." He smiled kindly. "You're very brave. You didn't do anything wrong, okay?" She smiled faintly. "Okay." The officers left soon after, and for a moment peace returned. But not for long. Scene 2, the retaliation. 2 days later, Megan found a notice taped to her front door. Bold red letters read, "Violation, child endangerment, property damage, fine, $350. Her hands trembled as she read it. It was signed, "Douglas Crane, HOA President, Unbelievable," she whispered. Inside the house, Lila sat quietly at the table, drawing. Her arm was still bandaged. "Mommy, am I in trouble?" she asked softly. Megan forced a smile. "No, honey. Not at all. He's the one who's in trouble." But deep down, she wasn't sure. She knew how powerful the HOA board could be, how they could twist rules, how they could make life miserable. By evening, more letters came. Fines, warnings, threats of legal action. It was clear, Douglas Crane wasn't done. That night, Megan sat by her window, watching Crane's house. Through the blinds, she saw him pacing inside, talking on his phone, pointing at her house through the window. A chill ran through her. What was he planning now? Final scene of part 1, the breaking point. The next morning, Lila went outside to feed the neighbor's cat that always came to their porch. But when she stepped out, her bike, Sparkle, was gone. "Mom!" she cried. "My bike! It's gone!" Megan rushed out. The spot by the fence was empty. Only a small piece of pink ribbon lay on the grass. Megan's chest tightened. Who would— Then she saw it. Across the street, in front of Douglas Crane's garage, leaning against the wall, was Sparkle. Her daughter's bike, the same pink bike with glittering tassels, now with its front wheel bent and tire slashed. Lila gasped, tears flooding her eyes. He broke it. Megan's hands clenched into fists. Her heart raced. She looked across the street. Crane was standing there, arms folded, a faint smirk on his lips. For a long, silent moment, neither moved. Just the wind rustling leaves between them, Megan whispered under her breath, "You just made a big mistake." Camera pans up. Daylight flares into white. Fade out. Scene opens on a quiet morning, sunlight glinting off the white fences. Birds chirp faintly, but peace feels artificial now. Something dark lingers beneath the calm. Scene 1, the broken bike. The golden light of dawn spilled across Maplewood Drive once more, but it didn't feel warm anymore. Not after what happened yesterday. Lila sat on the porch steps, still in her pajamas, staring across the street at the remains of her pink bike. Sparkle, her pride, her joy, now stood like a ghost of itself. The front wheel bent, the handle twisted, the glittering tassels torn and hanging. She sniffled softly. Why would someone do that, Mommy? Megan crouched beside her, heart aching. Because some people think power makes them right. Lila didn't fully understand, but she nodded. She only knew that her bike, the one she'd loved since her 6th birthday, was gone. Megan's eyes stayed locked on Douglas Crane's house. His blinds were half closed, but she could see movement behind them, a shadow pacing slowly. Watching. Her pulse quickened. This wasn't just about rules anymore. This was personal. Megan stood up. Go inside, sweetie. Have some breakfast. Lila looked up. What are you gonna do? Megan took a deep breath. Something I should have done a long time ago. Scene 2. The decision inside. Megan grabbed her phone and keys. Her hands shook with anger, but her mind was clear. For days, Crane had harassed her family, first yelling at a child, then filing false fines, now destroying property. But now, there would be proof. She stepped outside, recording with her phone camera. Her voice, firm but steady, filled the mic. This is Megan Carter. I'm standing outside my house on Maplewood Drive. This man, Douglas Crane, has been harassing me and my 8-year-old daughter for a week now. Today, I found her bicycle destroyed in front of his garage. She zoomed in, the broken bike glinting in the sun. Just then, the front door of Crane's house creaked open. Douglas Crane stepped out, dressed in his pressed HOA shirt, sunglasses reflecting the morning light. He noticed her phone instantly. Megan, he said sharply, put the phone down. She didn't flinch. Did you break my daughter's bike? Crane chuckled lightly. You shouldn't make accusations you can't prove. I have all the proof I need, she shot back. You threatened her. You humiliated her. Now this? Crane crossed his arms. Maybe if you'd taught her to respect property. That's enough. Megan's voice cracked like lightning. You're a grown man bullying a child. You're pathetic. A few neighbors began peeking through windows. Some even stepped onto porches, whispering, recording. Crane glanced around, suddenly aware that he was no longer in control. This is a private matter, he barked. Everyone go back inside. But nobody moved. Megan kept filming. You want privacy? You lost that when you attacked my family. Crane's jaw tightened. You think you can destroy me with a video? You don't understand how this works, Mrs. Carter. I am the HOA. Megan stepped closer. Not for long. Scene 3. The police return. Half an hour later, 2 patrol cars pulled up. The same officers from before, Ramirez and Hughes. Crane stood on his porch, arms crossed, pretending calm, while Megan showed the officers the video on her phone. In the footage, Crane could be heard saying, maybe if you'd taught her to respect property? Behind him, her daughter's smashed bike leaning against his wall, Ramirez exhaled sharply. Well, that doesn't look good for you, mister. Crane! Crane's composure cracked. You can't prove I did that. Maybe she left it there. Bent wheel, slashed tire, Hughes muttered. That's not wind damage. Megan folded her arms. He's been targeting us nonstop. Fines, notices, threats. You've got to do something. Ramirez nodded slowly. We'll take a report, but this might go beyond harassment, maybe even property damage and intimidation. Crane scoffed. Oh, please, this is HOA business. You have no authority here. Ramirez turned to him, voice firm. Sir, we have authority everywhere. For the first time, Crane didn't respond. Scene 4. The neighborhood. Wakes Up News travels fast in neighborhoods like Maplewood. By noon, everyone had seen Megan's video. It was posted on Nextdoor, shared in local Facebook groups, and whispered across driveways. Did you see that HOA guy yelling at the kid? I heard he destroyed her bike. That man's out of control. Within hours, Crane's once spotless reputation cracked like glass. At the community center where the HOA board held weekly meetings, several members gathered, whispering anxiously. He's gone too far this time, one muttered. We can't defend this, another said. If we don't act, the whole HOA's name is finished. By the time Crane arrived, face flushed with anger, they were ready. He slammed his briefcase on the table. We're not giving in to a mob! The vice president, a calm man named Robert Hale, looked him dead in the eye. Doug, we watched the video. You yelled at an 8-year-old and damaged her bike. That's not enforcement. That's abuse. Crane's fists clenched. You're all cowards. No, Hale said evenly. We're done letting you drag this neighborhood down. The room fell silent. Robert Hale pulled a paper from his folder. Effective immediately, you are suspended as HOA president pending investigation. Crane's face went red. You can't do that. We just did, Hale replied quietly. Crane stood still for a moment, then stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. Scene 5. Aftermath at home. That evening, Megan and Lila sat on their porch. The sunset painted the street in amber light, soft and warm again, like the peace had finally returned. Lila looked up. Is he gone, Mommy? Megan smiled gently. For now, but we're safe. Lila hesitated. Can I still ride my bike? Megan's heart twisted. The broken bike still sat by the fence, but its pieces had become something more, a reminder of courage. You'll have a new one soon, Megan said. Better than before. Lila smiled faintly. Can it have purple ribbons this time? Megan laughed softly. It can have any color you want. They sat quietly, watching the golden sun dip behind the rooftops. For the first time in days, the air felt lighter. Scene 6, the final confrontation, but peace never lasts long when pride is wounded. Later that night, as the street grew dark and crickets began to sing, a low rumble echoed outside. Megan's eyes shot open. Headlights swept across her living room. She peeked through the curtain. Crane's white HOA truck sat in her driveway. Her heart pounded. No, not again. She rushed to the door. Lila, stay in your room. Crane stood outside, swaying slightly, anger etched into every movement. His eyes were bloodshot, and there was a faint smell of alcohol. Megan, he shouted. You think you can ruin my life? You think a video makes you right? Megan stepped onto the porch, phone in hand, recording again. Leave my property, Doug. He pointed a trembling finger. You cost me everything. I built this community. I am Maplewood. Go home before I call the cops again. Crane took a step closer. You people never respected the rules. You don't deserve to live here. She stood firm. We're done being afraid of you. Behind her, the porch light flickered slightly, and Lila peeked from her bedroom window, terrified. Crane's voice broke. Do you know what it's like to lose everything? Megan said softly. You did that to yourself. He froze. For a moment, the fury drained from his face, replaced by emptiness, the realization of what he'd become. Then blue and red lights appeared down the street. Ramirez's patrol car screeched to a stop. Officers jumped out, shouting commands. Douglas Crane, step away from the property. Crane turned, startled. I didn't. Hands up, now! He hesitated, then slowly raised his arms. His clipboard fell to the ground, the same clipboard he'd used to threaten families for years. As they led him away, Megan stood silently, the phone still recording. Lila came out clutching her teddy bear. Mommy, is it over? Megan knelt and hugged her tight. Yeah, baby, it's over. Scene 7. Weeks later, Maplewood Drive, 1 month later. Morning light returns, soft, golden, peaceful again. A delivery van pulls up in front of the Carter home. The driver unloads a large box wrapped in pink paper. Lila runs outside, barefoot on the dewy grass. Mom, what is it? Megan smiles. Open it and see. Inside, a brand new pink bicycle. Sparkling. Perfect. On the handlebar, a purple ribbon fluttering in the breeze. Lila gasps. It's just like Sparkle. Megan nods. A few of the neighbors pitched in, said you deserved something special. Lila hugs her mom tightly. You're the best, Mommy, Megan whispers. No, sweetheart. You are. Across the street, Crane's old house stands empty. A for sale sign swings gently in the wind. Peace had finally returned, not because the rules changed, but because the people did. Final scene, the message. Camera zooms out slowly, showing Maplewood Drive bathed in daylight. Children play, neighbors talk. Lila rides her new bike, laughter echoing again. Narrator, soft, hopeful tone. In the end, it wasn't the HOA that defined this neighborhood. It was the courage of one mother and the innocence of one little girl that reminded everyone what community really means. Cut to a close-up, Lila's purple ribbons fluttering in the sunlight. Fade to white. Text on screen. No power is stronger than kindness. No rule is above humanity.